Hey gang, just wanted to this week talk about something that I think is really super personal for everyone at the moment, and that's the idea of exhaustion and stress and what to do about it, how to deal with it. I'm not going to pretend that I know what your experience of that is like, and I'm not going to be this kind of egotistical maniac that thinks I have all the answers for all the situations. What I am going to share is a way of understanding the dynamic that goes on that causes stress and exhaustion and how it tends to build over time. So, you know, that feeling, I don't know whether I should smile or be concerned about feeling, you know, that feeling uh, when you are stressed, it seems as if more things happen around you that make you more stressed. So, give you an example at the moment, right? Which is we've just come off the pandemic. It's almost like it almost beget or it gave birth to the Russia-Ukraine crisis because we were already so stressed. It just kind of builds another thing on top of it, right? And it's almost this sense where when you're stressed and exhausted, it attracts more of that energy. Okay. So what I want to try and help you understand is why that happens, and then sort of what you can do about it to unlock to stop the pattern, and to kind of hopefully at least end up neutral. All right. So here's the thing I've been sort of going through myself and sort of teaching others about. And then, so I'll sort of talk you through the model, the methodology, the way of thinking about it and understanding it. Once you've got the understanding, I would recommend that you sit with that understanding for a period of time. Don't act upon it straight away. Just to try and work out whether this understanding is actually happening to you in experience. And then if it is, I've got the things you can do about it underneath. Does that make sense? So just pause. Don't rush into this. Just try and work this out for you and what's right for you. So if we go, first of all, for many of you, where you'll sort of, your first experience of stress and exhaustion is with an event. So that's either, something to do with your health, a relationship, an activity you've got going on at work. It could be, a particular sort of person. People are a great source of stress and exhaustion, whether it's work or personal. And clearly the traditional definition of it is a difference in expectations. So you want something to be like this and it's not, it's like that. Okay. So, the traditional sort of, when I say traditional, if you read in Google, let's just make that a bit more legible. Sorry. We'll change the size. Event is not the gap. The event is not just the stressor itself, but it's the gap between what you expected and what you got. All right. So when that occurs, there's a couple of things that happen. And I want you to validate these in your own experience. Like I said, the first one is that there are physical sensations. So we'll talk about heart rate. We'll talk about, you would experience heart rate. You would experience, changes in sweating, heart palpitations. And if you were really, really aware, you could also sense the energy, the blood flow in your body shift and change in those moments. There's also an emotional reaction. There's sometimes there's fear. There is, that sense of wanting to run, which is also, a physical sensation. All of these together have a big impact, create a whole bunch of body sensations. Oops, let's go back to here. And these body sensations are going to be unique for each one of you. And I guess the thing is over time, and my circle in my heart, that's basically my icon for the body, these can build. Because as we as an event happens, it stresses us. The physical, emotional reactions, what tends to happen is that these build on top of one another. Now, where does this start to become? So I think many of you, when you look at that, what am I trying to say? Many of you, when you look at that, and you can tell me if you're watching this, will go, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's my experience. That's my body. That's my physical, emotional reactions, and I have stress. Yeah, so what? So the thing I want you to be aware of is how your mind reacts over time, and how your mind processes the event. What tends to happen if you look at this is, it can be 2 to 3 weeks, or sometimes it can be months and years. If the event isn't processed properly, your mind can go back to that event, keep reminding you of it, keep playing it over in your mind. And so what causes the buildup, the biggest buildup, is not the fact that the event might happen again, but it's the fact that our mind is like a repeating loop, and it plays it over and over again, and that creates the body sensations. Over time, that causes more stress in the body than anything. Because the nature of this, ourselves, is that actually there will always be change. We don't have control over it in many cases. So if our mind continues to create stories or repeat these things over and over again, it's like reliving the stress, and it builds over time. So, like I said to you, is don't take this as gospel. Watch this a few times, and then look at your own experience. Watch yourself respond to some events, and notice how you do it. And then when you sort of feel like you've got a sense of what happens in your mind, in your body, here's a couple of sort of tactics, things to think about, right? Things to implement when you're ready. The first one is with your mind. So things you can do with your mind, things you can do with your emotions, with your body, and then what you actually do about the event or the situation. First one is, in mind, we want to be in the present, not in the past or in the future. We don't want to either resist the situation or seek a different situation. We want a complete acceptance of that situation. If we don't accept it, we keep repeating it. We keep cycling it around in our minds, and it creates further stress. With emotions, what we're trying to do often is avoid them. The way we manage emotions from events is we feel them. And what actually happens is when we don't avoid them, they peak and then they recede. And with the body, as much as we can, we want to use whatever works for you to be centered, and I'll add an extra thing here, release stress from our body. Exercise is really awesome for that. Meditation is really awesome for that, whatever works for you. But that's, significantly important. And if you can be in the present, if you can just accept the situation, be with your emotions, and this takes a lot of work in terms of understanding those elements. What we understand is that we either will take action or we won't. but we don't create a story that continues beyond that event. And we know that this too shall pass till the next thing comes. So I want you to apply this to you, right? Two things I said at the start. First one was, firstly, examine your own experience of this. Increase your awareness of yourself and how you respond. And then as you examine your own experience, well, that's a terrible arrow. Let's do that again. As you examine your own experience, look, where do you need to make changes in how you respond? Is it with your mind, your emotions, your body, or how you reply to the situation or respond to the situation and not react? Please, if this was useful for you, make a comment down below, share it with whoever you can, like it. And if you're an organization and you've got groups of people who are suffering with stress, exhaustion, you want to turn that around, let me know. There's a program I've built based on some of these models that help people implement changes over time in these areas. I love to help. That's what I do. Take care. Talk soon. See ya. Bye.